Greetings to Mrs. Zul and the audience. I'm Durga Kaviyarasu, and this is my presentation for Task 1 Digital Portfolio Classroom Language for Teachers. First of all, what is classroom language? Classroom language refers to the language used within the classroom for communication and interaction. Meanwhile, teacher talk, which is the classroom language used by teachers, specifically refers to the language employed by educators during lessons to effectively convey information and guide the learning process. Teacher talk could be divided into four categories. They are giving instruction, questioning strategies, managing behaviors, and giving feedback. So the teacher talk refers to the language that used by teachers in the classroom to facilitate learning. Effective teacher talk enhances students' comprehension, motivation, and engagement. It should be clear, concise, and adapted to the student's language level. Good teacher talk encourages interaction and helps learners practice the targeted language. Overuse or overly complex language can hinder students' learning. So, balance is the key to fostering a communicative classroom environment. So the first element is giving instruction, which is clear and concise instructions are fundamental to managing a classroom, ensuring students understand what is expected of them, and promoting active engagement in learning activities. Total Physical Response (TPR) is a language teaching method where teachers give commands and students respond by performing the corresponding physical actions. So, this approach, as used in activities with students, help enhances understanding of instructions by associating them with physical movements, making it particularly effective for language learners. So the first element that we can see in giving instruction is clear instruction is the cornerstone of effective teaching. If students do not understand what they need to do, their focus and progress can suffer. In the video, we can see Teacher Wall ensures the clarity by giving straightforward, simple instructions, often using repetition and gestures to reinforce his message. For example, when Teacher Wall instructs the students to clear their desk, he used direct language. Clear your desk. No pencils. Put everything in your bag. So he doesn't stop after the first instruction but repeats it several times until the students understand it. This reduces the chance of misunderstanding and ensures the class knows exactly what is expected. Next, code switching and immersion. Code switching refers to alternating between languages in order to clarify concepts, while immersion focuses on maximizing targeted language exposure. Teacher was strategically uses both methods to balance clarity and language practice. During one of his lessons, he explains a point system in English and then briefly switches to the Mandarin to ensure the students understand. After this brief explanation, he returns to speak English, maintaining an immersive environment. This is helpful for young learners who might still rely on their native language to understand abstract ideas. Next, providing cues. Cues, whether verbal or non-verbal, guide students' behavior and responses in the classroom. They act as gentle reminders or signals to direct attention or action. For example, we can see Teacher Wall uses the phrase, "When I say five, feet on the floor." This serves as a verbal cue that immediately directs the students to a specific action, which is putting their feet on the floor and preparing to focus. He reinforces these cues with hand gestures and other body language. Cues can create a predictable environment where students know how to behave and respond without needing constant verbal reminders. They help establish routines which are particularly useful in managing younger students or larger classrooms. Next, restating instruction, which allows students to hear the information again and which can aid comprehension and retention. So, what are the effectiveness of doing all this? Yeah, keeping students engaged is a key challenge for any teacher, but Teacher Wall does an excellent job of maintaining high levels of interaction through repetition, gestures, and constant reinforcement. So, we can see it increase the engagement. So, why it is important? Engagement goes hand in hand with learning. Active participation increases students' retention of material and makes the lessons more enjoyable, which can lead to more enthusiasm for learning in long term. Next, fostering language development. So this is another important aspect of teacher was teaching is how he fosters the language development. By encouraging frequent repetition of vocabulary and phrases, he helps reinforce the language being taught. In the lesson, we can see the students repeat phrases like A apple and B ball. This helps them internalize the vocabulary to repetition and pronunciation practice. Repetition is an essential part of language learning because it helps the brain solidify new words and phrases. Moving on to the last effectiveness, which is enhance understanding. Teacher Wall frequently checks for understanding by asking students to repeat instructions and use code switching when necessary to ensure students grasp the material. For example, when introducing classroom rules, Teacher Wall repeats instructions like speak English, no Chinese, multiple times to ensuring students understand the language expectations. By doing this, he reinforces the concept while making sure no one is left confused. So, regularly checking for understanding reduces miscommunication and ensures that students know what to do. So the suggestions for improvement are use more visual aids, check for understanding via student paraphrasing, simplify and break down instructions. So by incorporating visuals like pictures or diagrams, they can significantly improve comprehension, especially for visual learners or students who are struggling with abstract concepts. Next, asking students to repeat instructions in their own word allows the teacher to ensure clarity and correct any misunderstandings immediately. Lastly, present instructions one step at a time, which especially for younger or low proficiency students. This will prevent confusion and help students follow tasks more easily. So, in summary, effective instruction is a critical component of successful teaching. So, by using visual aids, paraphrasing, and breaking down to instruction, educators can further enhance the effectiveness in the classroom. Now, let's move on to the second part, which is questioning strategies. Questioning is not just about getting students to provide answers, but it's also about encouraging participation, critical thinking, and language development. Questioning in the classroom should focus on achieving specific goals and developing students' thinking skills. So, we as an educators, we must use various question types, which is effective questioning uses a balance between open-ended and closed-ended questions. These types serve different purposes, which is closed-ended questions check for factual understanding and typically have one correct answer. whereby open ended questions encourage students to think deeply and provide more detailed responses. For example, in the classroom, the teacher asks, "What did you use your nose for?" This is a close ended question that assesses factual recall based on a prior knowledge. Students might respond with the simple, direct answers like, "I use my nose to smell flowers." While the factual recall questions are necessary, relying too much on them may limit students' ability to think critically. That's why mixing in a preference based question, which like what sports do you prefer, encourages students to express their opinion and leading to richer conversations and language use. So, the next point is task based learning, which is task based learning is an approach that engages students with real world tasks, helping them use language practically. In the example, we can see students are asked questions like, "What did you use your ears for?" These tasks are both interactive and meaningful, promoting active language use in an authentic questions. For example, from the classroom, during a questioning game, students respond to prompts like, "What did you use your nose for?" in full sentence. "I use my nose to smell flowers." This engages them in a meaningful communication. So, to enhance the task based learning, we can incorporate more complex tasks that require students to engage in problem solving or decision making. For instance, instead of just asking about body parts, students could role play a scenario where they can describe using their senses in different situations. The third point is waiting time. Waiting time is an important strategy that allows students to think before responding. Often, teachers rush to get answers, but providing a pause can significantly improve the quality of responses. Next, let's have a look on the effectiveness of using questioning strategies in an ESL classroom. Clarification and repetition. Clarification and repetitions are the key to ensure comprehension. Repeating questions and answers help reinforce understanding and retention. For example, when a student answers, "I used my nose to smell flowers," the teacher repeats the answer for the entire class. This not only reinforces learning but also clarifies the response for those who may not have heard or understood it for the first time. Next, peer questioning. Encouraging students to ask each other questions promotes a collaborative learning environment and gives them practice in the both questioning and answering. Lastly, scaffolding, whereby scaffolding involves providing support when students need it and gradually removing it as they gain confidence. This is crucial in building independent language learners. For example, when a student struggles with vocabulary, the teacher provides cues such as prompting them to say taste when they can't recall the word. This guidance helps students learn new vocabulary while building confidence. So now let's have a look on the suggestions for improving the questioning strategies. First and foremost, increase the use of open-ended questions. So we can discuss how these questions encourage critical thinking. So use the open-ended questions more frequently in the classroom to help students develop the language proficiency by explaining their answers in depth. So this can help and encourage critical thinking and deeper responses. Next, encourage detailed responses, whereby after students give a basic response, ask them to explain their thinking. For example, "Why do you think your sense of smell is important?" This pushes them to provide fuller, richer response. By this, we can enhance the comprehension and communication skills among students in an ESL classroom. Lastly, incorporate more peer feedback. Let students evaluate each other's responses. This could be as simple as asking, "Do you agree with your classmates say?" Or, "Can you add something to their answer?" This not only fosters collaboration but also enhances their ability to critically evaluate the language. So, to summarize, the questioning strategies are as an essential part of teaching, which goes beyond simply assessing knowledge. By using a range of question types, incorporating task based learning, providing waiting time, we can enhance both language development and critical thinking in an ESL classroom. Now let's move on to the third part, which is managing behavior in the classroom. Effectively managing behavior is crucial for creating a positive learning environment, fostering student engagement, and helping students develop social and emotional skills. To effectively manage the classroom, a teacher can implement various routines. These routines serve as guidelines to promote desired behaviors among the students. Now let's have a look into the strategies that we can use to manage behavior in the classroom. The first key strategy is engaging activities. When students are involved in a dynamic and interactive lesson, they are less likely to misbehave. If students are actively participating, they have little time or inclination to become distracted or disruptive. Engaging activities also help reduce boredom, which is a common cause of behavior problem. For example, in the video, we can see Miss Lana uses songs and group activities to keep her students involved. So she starts the class with a cleanup song to get students organized and ready for learning. Later, she involved them in a group exercises like singing and working in pairs, asking each other questions such as, "What do you do in the morning?" These activities not only keep the students engaged but also reinforces the lesson objectives such as practicing their language skills. Next, clear expectations. When students understand what is expected of them, there's less confusion and they are more likely to behave appropriately. So in Miss Lana's classroom, she consistently reinforced the six rules. They are: speak English, raise your hands, keep your hands on desk, listen and look, be nice, and clean up. So these rules are simple but cover important classroom behaviors. So she frequently reminds her students of these expectations, which makes the rules part of their routine. She often checks in with questions like, "Are your desks clean?" or "Are you ready to do your best?" So these type of questions reminds the students to stay on the track and create a predictable structured environment. Next, utilizing peer support. Students often learn better from each other, especially when it's come to social behaviors. Peer support can encourage students to model good behavior and help one another to stay on the task. For example, in the classroom, Ms. Lana frequently organizes students into pairs or groups to complete tasks together. For instance, students ask each other questions about their morning routine, and team leaders are assigned to distribute worksheets. This structure allows students to rely on each other for support, which fosters the collaboration and accountability. Now, the effectiveness of these strategies. By implementing these strategies, we can increase the engagement in the classroom. It helps students to stay focused and interest in the lessons. This reduces the chances of disruptive behavior. Next, consistent classroom order. By having a consistent classroom order, we can reduce the confusion and chaotic behavior of the students. Last but not least, peer influence for positive behavior. Peer support encourages students to model positive behavior for each other, promoting teamwork and mutual responsibility. Now, let's look at some suggestions for improving behavior management. So, first of all, increase the use of open ended discussion on behavior. A great way to enhance the behavior management is by increasing the use of open minded discussions about behavior. Often, we give students instruction on how to behave, but don't explain why these behaviors are important. Encouraging students to think critically about their behavior can help them to internalize classroom norms. For example, instead of telling students to be nice, you could ask them why it is important to be kind to others in the class. Or how do you feel when everyone following the rules, right? So these open-ended questions encourage students to think more deeply about their actions and their impact on the classroom environment. Next, encourage detailed explanations of behavioral choices. Instead of simply praising good behavior with good job, ask students to reflect on their explaining their actions. For example, if a student help clean up the classroom, we as an educator we can ask, can you explain how you clean up helps our classroom stay organized? How does it help us? So this encourages students to think about the consequences of their behavior in a more meaningful way. So by this, asking for detailed explanations, it can help students understand the positive outcomes of their behavior, which reinforces good choices and helps them to think critically about their actions. Finally, incorporating more peer feedback on behavior can enhance behavior management. After group activities, encourage students to give each other feedback on how well they work together or follow the rules. So, in conclusion, managing behavior in the classroom is essential part of creating a positive, productive learning environment. So, for the last part of our discussion today, which is giving feedback. Feedback is a powerful tool that can significantly enhance student learning, motivation, and engagement. Feedback serves a communication tool designed to bridge the gap between a learner's current abilities and the desired outcomes. For feedback to be effective, it should be constructive, specific, immediate, and balanced. So now let's explore the three main suggestions for improving the feedback practices, and let's discuss their effectiveness, which supported by the examples from the videos. Okay. First, clarity and precision. The first suggestion is for improving feedback is to ensure the clarity and precision. Providing feedback that is clear and precise allows students to understand exactly what is expected of them. Vague feedback can lead to confusion and hinder improvement. When feedback is specific, it helps students to identify their strengths and weaknesses, making it easier for them to act on the feedback. Clear communication is crucial for setting the right expectations. So from the video, we can see Miss Sarah Melvin offers a clear feedback to a student regarding their multiplication model. She says, I really like that you have started off your paragraph with a clear topic sentence. That is exactly right. Now let's see if you can think of three related detailed sentences you could write. So this feedback gives the student a clear goal to work towards and guides them in enhancing their writing. Second, timely feedback. Feedback is most effective when immediately after a task is completed. So when we give a feedback after a task is completed, this immediacy allows students to connect their actions with the feedback they receive, enabling them to make immediate adjustments. So, this timely feedback helps prevent students from practicing incorrect behaviors, ensuring they can correct their mistakes right away. It is especially important during the early stages of learning a new skill. So, the third point is encourage positive reinforcement. Highlighting students' strengths and successes helps build their confidence and motivation. When students receive praise for their efforts, they are more likely to engage in their learning. Positive reinforcement creates a supportive atmosphere where students feel valued. This environment encourages active participation and fosters a sense of belonging in the classroom. So, the effectiveness of having a good, clear vision on giving feedback is we can foster a positive learning environment. Positive reinforcement builds a classroom culture where students feel appreciated and more likely to participate actively. And it also increases motivation for students to do their best in upcoming task, and it also enhances the understanding of the students, so it helps students to identify what they did correctly and where they can improve in the classroom in the task that they are doing. Now let's have a look on the suggestions for improving feedback practices. First, utilize a structured feedback framework. A structured framework helps ensure feedback is comprehensive and covers necessary components. By implement the situation behavior impact framework, this encourages teachers to describe the situation and the specific behavior and its impact. So instead of saying good job, a teacher might say, during the group discussion, I noticed you shared your ideas clearly, which helped your classmates understand the topic better. So in this, we can see there is a situation and behavior and impact. So these contents provide clarity, making the feedback more actionable. Next, provide opportunities for students' self reflection. Encouraging students to reflect on their own work promotes ownership of their learning. After assignments, tasks, ask students to self assess with questions like, what did you do? And what could be improved? So, this engages them critically to think with their work and setting the stage for productive feedback discussions. Lastly, incorporate peer feedback mechanisms. Peer feedback encourages collaboration and allows students to learn from each other. Implement structured peer feedback sessions where students provide constructive feedback on each other's works using guiding questions. For instance, they could comment on what they like and suggest one area for improvement. This not only builds community but also deepens their understanding of success criteria. So in summary, effective feedback is crucial part of learning process in an ESL classroom. So utilizing a structured feedback framework, providing opportunity for reflection, and incorporating peer feedback mechanisms can further improve our feedback practices as an educators in an ESL classroom. So, as a conclusion, this sketch notes analysis the effectiveness of teacher talk across various aspects based on the videos that I've provided in the Google site. This analysis highlights the vital role of teacher talk plays in the classroom. It not only facilitates the delivery of knowledge but also aids in classroom management and contributes to the development of students' personalities. Therefore, mastering effective teacher talk is essential for ensuring successful lesson delivery. It is important for all the teachers to practice and refine their skills in implementing effective teacher talk. That's all from me. Thank you.